Also, your boy, Brother Winston, with another video. This is an important video. This is a video of John McAfee. He's the guy who made the McAfee antivirus, which you may have received on the computer that you got or laptop that you got, where it was like already installed on your computer. Okay, he's the one that actually created that. All right, he made a lot of money from making that antivirus software. Okay, so we're gonna hit play here. He's gonna explain how people go on adult websites and things like that. How a lot of times people think, oh, if I go on a website, this particular website, whatever, it's fine. And, end of the day, nothing's going to happen. I go on this website, look at this stuff. But he's explaining how all of these websites, the reason why they're cheap, the reason why they're free, okay, it's not just that they're trying to sell you something. It's much more to it than that. All right, so I'm going to explain this. And I'm going to go into also about how this could usher in a one world government. You'll see what he's talking about. Watch this. Hit play here.
That you may not know is that over half of all smartphones, both iOS and Android, are infected with keystroke logging software. This is a known fact. Every pornography site in the world, if you have ever, I'm sure nobody here has ever looked at pornography, but if you have, if there's a rare exception, then you have keystroke logging software. How do you think they make their money? See, this is the issue. It costs millions of dollars to maintain these massive databases and have the bandwidth to disperse this pornography. And yet you don't pay. Yes, you're paying. The instant you visit the site, if you have an Android, for example, the site runs a JavaScript which sets the download unauthorized application flag. The very first video that you watch, because that's a click-through. You clicked. You did something. You said, yes, oh, good, yes, I'll do that. Downloads, first and foremost, a remote rooting function. If it's an iPhone, a remote jailbreaking program. All can be remotely rooted now. After it's rooted, they download a keylogger, and all this takes just a matter of seconds. And from that point on, somebody is watching every single one of your keystrokes.
So this is important. So he's saying when people go on these websites, immediately this stuff is installed on your phone. Okay, so people may say, well, these just sell this content. People have paid to go on the Playboy channel, or whatever, or people have paid to buy this stuff. You know what I mean? Now it's all just free. The internet's just so great. And he's explaining, no, it's not exactly like that. It's not exactly. It seems like that, but it's not exactly like that. Okay. And some people say, oh, I can just go on this website and this site is safe, and they don't say it's safe. And he said, no, it's not safe. All of them are doing this. Okay. And because there are so many people that have been watching this stuff on their phones and their devices, they're all prey to this. Well, watch what he says next. Watch this.
Now, people pay these pornography sites for the ability to put their keylogging software on your phones. Why? Well, maybe they're a Bitcoin aficionado, and they're going to see, do you have a Bitcoin wallet like Mycelium or what have you? Yes. Well, they're just going to hang around until you access it and input your keys or your passwords, and the next day, your wallet's going to be empty. Or maybe you do online banking. All right? You have a password, you have an application. The very first time you've logged into your bank to check your balance or do anything, they go, thank you very much. And the next day, your bank balance will disappear. Now, why has this not happened to you already? Because hackers are not stupid. In order to take something, they have to download additional software. If they only take 400 or 500 people's bank accounts in one day, then the next day, the white hat hackers are going to say, this is how they did it. Everybody, you can protect yourself. No. They're going to wait until one day this year or next year, and 100 million people in one day are going to have your bank accounts eradicated. Zero balance.
So he said it's better for the hackers to try to get a lot of people at once instead of just hacking a few folks, because then people that see what they did, if they were to go in and get a few people, they could put a wall, like a firewall against a wall to stop them. Okay. But he says if they do things the right way, they can essentially hack nearly everybody and make you go to a zero balance, which is possible. All right. Can you imagine? All right. Just think about it. Just think about it for a second. Okay.
Or your identity will be stolen.
or your identity will be stolen. Okay, all of this kind of stuff. All right, think about it. Your identity being stolen. All right, your bank account going to zero. All right, everyone's account on the entire earth. Okay, being brought to zero, or at least the people that have been on these sites, these adult sites. Okay, so there's a large amount of people. There's over 1 billion people. All right, whose accounts have been emptied. All right, people are going to say, you know what, that digital currency and getting rid of cash sound real good right now, because with all of our money essentially being used in the way that we had it. If all of our money essentially being on credit cards with the old system, look what happened. My account is empty. Okay, they stole my identity. Now, me personally, I've had my bank account hacked before. One of my family members recently had a breach with their what was it? Their bank account. Okay, where their money was taken out of their bank account. All right, to the tune of thousands of dollars. All right, so I can see. Like right now, I was just on a site not too long ago. Actually, I think it was today, yesterday, and they were talking about making a single currency. And people were like protesting. Everyone needs to protest it. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. In the comments, people were just saying how bad it is, right? But I'm like, people want to be saying that if all their money was taken away from them that was in their bank accounts through their Visa credit and debit cards, they would quickly change and say, you know what? And then that's like, for example, Trump said, look, I want everyone to get the Trump real ID, whatever case it be. You have to get this. All right. You have to get his ID. It's the new ID, and it has your banking information connected to your ID. Okay, so you can you actually pull your ID card out, and then from there you can pay for stuff. All right, and then from there they can move on to whatever they want to do to market the beast and all that stuff through that. Okay, and as I always say, I believe that Donald Trump is the beast. Okay, well anyway. None of that stuff will be hard. None of that stuff will be difficult if there is a huge breach like what John McAfee is saying. Now, John McAfee is no longer alive. Okay, I also want to say that. All right, that's a whole other video I go into about why he's no longer alive. But he said a lot of things trying to expose stuff before his death. Now, he was not a perfect man. He was definitely not a perfect man. All right, but he said some things that are definitely eye-opening. He's the only person I've ever heard say what he said about how these sites. Now, like I've heard people say before, okay, well, you go on these sites, they can be dangerous and it can lead to a hack. Everyone knows that, though. Okay, you can go on a site, for example, to try to watch a bootleg movie, for example, right? And ads are popping up, ads will pop up, and next thing you know, your phone is hacked. Okay, but people go on these adult sites and say, oh, well, I'm gonna pay to go on this site. I know there are sites you can pay to go on there and stuff, right? Like pay a monthly fee, I guess, whatever. And people will pay for that, and they think, well, I'm paying to get security. I'm not going on it's not a free site necessarily. I'm actually paying for it. Okay, but still, and it's still like he's explaining. Once you go on there, all right, and if you go in there one time on your device, doors open up. Okay, doors open up. And that's the reason why all that stuff is cheap. All right. I feel like what he's saying is going to happen. I feel like it's going to happen in a similar way to that, where everyone's information is going to be just lost. Okay. And they're going to say, we need to do a reset. I'll give you an example, right? Let me get out of here. Let's say that everyone's bank account information was stolen, right? So everyone, let's say 90% of the world information, if 90% of the world's information was stolen, okay, so that the government literally said, look, their job was not even to steal you guys' money. Their job, the reason why they did this was to essentially wipe out your information. So they literally wiped out your information. We have no record that you had money in your account. Okay, we had no record that you even existed. All right, we simply cannot restore your money because there's no record of it. All right, how happy do you think people would be about that? And they came and said, look, well, what we can do is give you this new type of ID. All right. And with this new type of ID, we can give you a certain amount of money. All right. That's all we really can do. We can't just give people just dump money on you based on even the evidence that you have, because at the end of the day, the evidence is in your account and your accounts have been wiped clean. All right. This is something that governments in the world could actually manufacture if they wanted to. All right. You think about Elon Musk, who went in and got all this information from people, which he shouldn't have been able to do. and then he bounced from the government, all right, he could institute it if he wanted to. All right, so he could be a beneficiary of the one world government, money system. Okay, if he wanted to do that, all right. And it seems like he's still in bed with Trump to a degree, even though he says he's against it. It seems like he's still at times in bed with Trump. Who knows what's really going on? Okay, but all I'm saying is that if that were to happen, where let's say you had $100,000 in your bank account, or let's say you had $500,000 in your bank account. Okay, work very hard for it, work your whole life to get that money, and then your bank account went to zero. All right, man, you lost everything. All you had was a car. You couldn't pay for your house. You lost everything. All right. You would sit there, you would say to yourself, you know what? They're offering me. And let's say, for example, they even said, we could try to restore you to some semblance of what you used to have. But you need to get this card. You need to enter this new type of, system. People would do that for sure. It's as simple as people do it for sure. As simple as that, okay? It's very few people that would say no to that if they were left with nothing in their bag. You understand what I'm saying? And like this guy said, this stuff is being prepared right before our very eyes. And there's so many people that go on these websites, so many people that don't understand what they're actually partaking in. You understand what I'm saying? All right. I'm not making this up. This stuff is real. All right. Please don't share this video. Hit the like button so people can see this stuff. It's the truth, y'all. It's the truth. And a lot of people don't understand this. It's just crazy. It's crazy to astonishing. Let's go back to this interview real quick. We're going to be out of here.
Zero balance, or your identity will be stolen, or your Bitcoin wallet will be emptied, or maybe they've been watching your keystrokes to see if, maybe you're saying something to a friend or a lover that maybe could compromise you. Maybe they can blackmail you. If they get lucky, you might be a United States congressman or a senator, in which case, now not only do they have money, they have power. So this is why this is being done. And the Russian cyber mafia and the Chinese cyber mafia are so powerful. They pay literally hundreds of millions of dollars to these pornography sites to allow them to access your smartphone so that at some point they can utilize that. So it's something to think about.
John McAfee, pioneer.
Okay, so I want to end by saying this. And I've actually watched videos, okay, of people who had these adult sites. Like I know that a lot of adult sites, there's this website called MindGeek, if I'm not mistaken, and they own a lot of adult websites. Okay, I was studying this because I'm in business myself, and I'm also I do stuff online to make money online, like even on YouTube. Okay, and I was trying to look at the structure for how a lot of those sites operate, because a lot of those sites, they essentially they're people going there for free, but they make money. All right, so it's something. If you're trying to make money online, it's something to be studied. To understand, they make a lot of money even though they offer stuff for free. But what they do is they make, like, from 1% of the people that go on these sites, they upsell them essentially. They say, look, well, we're gonna sell you something you can pay for. We're gonna give you something you can pay for, I should say, excuse me. And from there, that 1%, if they get 100 million people, looking for free, and they get 1%, that's still a good amount of people that they're paying. They can pay for stuff. But what this guy is saying is that that's not all where to get their money from. All right, it's actually from them being paid to sell your information. Now you may say, well, that's not true. Why would they do that? Who would do that? I want you to understand that people like Mark Zuckerberg, okay, and many other folks, all right, have been doing this stuff for years. Okay, as we see here, Mark Zuckerberg has been implicated in the Facebook Cambridge Analytica data scandal of 2018, where the personal data of up to 87 million, that's a lot of people, 87 million Facebook users was harvested without their consent. That means sent to the black market, okay, to whoever wants to get it, by the political consulting firm Cambridge Analytica, which was connected to the 2016 Trump presidential campaign. Zuckerberg was personally involved in decision-making that allowed the data breach and was subsequently sued by the District of Columbia Attorney General. Facebook faced penalties, including a $5 billion fine from the Federal Trade Commission. All right. But at the end of the day, is Facebook still around? Oh, absolutely. Facebook is still around. Okay, it's still doing what it wants to do. And This is not the first. I don't think this is the first time, nor the last time that Facebook has been involved with a breach regarding people's personal information. All right. So if they would do this, something as big as Facebook, what more MindGeek, the people that have these adult sites, okay, and these other folks who keep themselves in the background. Mark Zuckerberg, he's in the front. You know, you see his face, you know what he looks like. But a lot of these sites that these people go to, these adult sites, they don't know who owns them. All right. So why wouldn't they want to sell your information? But he would. You understand what I'm saying? You see how it doesn't make any sense? If you think, oh, you're wrong, they would never do that. Yes, they would do that. And they're already doing that. They're already doing that. Okay. And I think it's not just those adult sites. I think it's other sites too doing that stuff. Or other sites, because the thing is, the pay is so good. The pay is great if you are able to sell these people's information. All right. If you have a website, for example, like I have a website, for example, myself, right, where I have their business on the website. Okay, and it's growing. All right. Now, if I had 1 million people on a website, right? Let's say I was just a godless person. I had 1 million people who on the website, 1 million different businesses on the website, right? And somebody approached me, and I'm a godless person, and they said, "Hey, I'll give you $10 million to give me those people's information. Just give me the information where they live at." And I said, "No, that's wrong." And they said, "How about 50 million?" They were from 10 to 50. I said, "Oh, 50 million?" And then I said, all right, do it. He said, we're also going to need your bank information. I said, I don't know about that. How about 60 million? All right, $60 million. I sold it all to them. Okay. Now, if y'all get hacked, hey, at the end of the day, look, it happens all the time. I don't have any control of that. I made the money. Everything's fine. People continue to go on these sites. They have no clue what's going on. But every now and then you hear about a breach or you hear about something like this going on. And it's because these people are being paid off, which is what McAfee said. And McAfee's dead. All right. So this is the truth. This is what's going on. I'm not saying that it's going to happen the exact way that I'm saying, but I think that when you think about it happening that way, that there's a worldwide breach that pushes people, just like, and I have to be careful how I say this because, the way things are online now, but just like when that thing happened in 2020 and, before that event happened, you couldn't find a person who'd be willing to take a medicine, all right, that was not tested for at least 10 or 15 years. It was not truly tested. But when that event happened, okay, doctors and scientists said, oh, no, look, everything is cool. All right, go ahead and take this stuff. All right, I remember one time I was selling furniture. Okay, I remember one time me and my friend, we were delivering. I think we were doing it. I think we were delivering. No, we were doing the pickup. We were doing a pickup of some furniture from this lady's house, right? She was a pharmacist, right? And I remember she asked us about, the medicine they were giving out. She said, "Did y'all get this X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah? Did y'all get the medicine?" Me and my friend were like, "No, we're not going to do that." My friend was very, very adamant about, not getting it. And he was explaining to her why. She said, and he said, "Look, the stuff hasn't even been tested." And she said, and this is what she said to us. She said, "Yeah, well, you gotta understand. It's been looked at by all kind of scientists and this and that." And he was like, "It doesn't matter how many people looked at it. Aren't y'all the ones that said that there's a certain amount of time that has to be set in place? Okay, 10 or more years to test the stuff. So how is it all of a sudden you can now fast track it to 1 year? You can just fast track it, okay, with no testing at all. How is that impossible?" And she's like, "Oh, we gotta understand. A lot of people looked at it." And I was sitting there shaking my head like, wow. How many people I wonder how many people she's convinced with that spiel to just take this stuff, okay? And the same thing would happen, like I said, we'll do with this money thing. They can say, "Look, y'all, we want y'all to move everything over here. Move to this new system." All right. And if your money is gone, okay, people are going to do that. Simple as that. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Peace.